Epic Artists, my name's Rachel and I'm going to teach you how to make our lantern at home kit project. So you should have received some slabs, like a slab or two, a little cardboard paper board, and then a bag full of all the supplies that you'll need. You'll also need to grab yourself a bowl of water, something to smooth out your slabs with. I'm using a sponge. You can use paper towels, you can use anything you want for that. And then I'll show you all the things that you should have in your kit. You'll have little template things, you'll have a little Epic at Home sheet that you'll fill out and make sure that it stays with your project, so you give it to us at the end. You'll get some little underglazes in these things. You'll get some little bits of straws, and then you also should have a paintbrush, a popsicle stick, a fork, and then you'll have like a big straw and a little straw. So the first thing that you're gonna do is take your rectangle piece and put it on your slab. And you have to kind of make sure, you'll probably just get one slab. I have two because I can make whatever I want at the studio. But you'll have to make sure that you have enough room to make the bottom piece and the rectangle piece. And you'll end up with a circle. I just used the bowl to make my circle, but you'll have a circle as well. So you'll get your pieces and kind of arrange them how you want them. And then you can take the popsicle stick and kind of trace around that rectangle. I'm gonna make my rectangle a little bit bigger than this rectangle because our template actually, it's a little different. So yours might be a little bit different size than mine. So you will make a rectangle, and then what you'll need to do is wherever you want there to be no canvas texture, you'll take your sponge or your paper towel and kind of smooth out the places that you don't want texture. If you like the texture, you can keep it, but when it gets glazed, it'll really show up at the end. So if you don't want it at all, make sure that you really smooth it out. And then this lantern, the example one that you guys probably saw online, has some flowers on it. You can make this lantern have any design that you want. You might want one for Christmas, you might want one for, I don't know, somebody's birthday and they really like a specific thing. You can cut out any shapes that you want, but I'm gonna stick with the flower theme, and I might put a sunshine as well. So the main thing with it is you have to design your design while it's flat, because it gets really hard to puncture holes once you have it all rounded out and smoothed out. So I'm gonna start by just puncturing with my straw little holes where I would like there to be some flowers. And you can make as many as you want or as little as you want. It is completely up to you. I'm gonna stay pretty far away from the edges because eventually I'm gonna cut this thing out, make it go around, and then I'm going to have to connect these two sides. So I don't want there to be like a weak spot on the two sides. So kind of stay away from your guides. Okay, so I've made some little flower places. I'm gonna use my smaller one. I'm just gonna cut out some more holes. And this is also something to pay attention to. You don't want to cut into the holes, so you just have to make sure that when you're using the straws that you don't cut into the other holes that you made, unless you want it to be like a big shape and not like clean circles. You can also use your popsicle stick to cut out whatever shapes that you want, but we do also recommend, again, that you keep your shapes pretty limited so that the entire thing can hold its structure when you make the whole thing around. So I'm just cutting out little flower designs. And again, you can do whatever you want, but I think the flowers are pretty fun. You also can draw with the popsicle stick or with maybe the end of the paintbrush. You can draw some textures in here. So I'm probably gonna do that to make some stems. And also you can see that I have to kind of get the clay out of the straws as I'm working, because it does get really packed in there. And then when it does that, it likes to bend. So just be a lot more patient with this project than I'm being for the video. Because if you want very, very specific, really clean, nice looking things, you'll spend way more time than I am. I'm just trying to get something on here so that you guys can see it when I get it all built. That one got a little close to the edge, but that's okay. Okay, so now I have some flowers. Now I'm just gonna take the end of my paintbrush and I'm gonna draw some little stems. I might draw a leaf or two. And you can, again, get just as creative as you want to. Could maybe draw a butterfly up there. Let's do that. A little butterfly. And maybe the sun shining in the distance. Okay, so after you have your much more detailed, much more patient design, you're then gonna take your popsicle stick and try to keep it pretty straight up and down. And you're gonna cut along your guides. And try to cut nice and straight. And you're just gonna cut this rectangle piece off. And I'm gonna move this clay out of my way. And try to be pretty careful with that one. That cut didn't want to go on the line, but try to really, again, be patient and cut it out really nice. Okay, so now I have this all cut out. And if it starts to tear like that, you can cut it again or like smooth it out with the popsicle stick. Okay, so now I have my rectangle. And what I'm gonna do is kind of smooth this out. I have to start curving this thing. So I'm gonna start to curve it, and you don't wanna put, the clay, once it's flat, it doesn't really like to become round again, so you have to be careful and patient with it again. Now I'm also gonna take my fork and I'm gonna start scratching anything that you put onto another piece of clay. You have to do what we call scratch to attach, or you might see it called scoring and slipping. You're just roughing up the edges of the clay so that when these two pieces get put together, they have like something to grab onto. Okay, so I roughed up the edges of the clay. I'm gonna take a little bit of water and just put it on one of the sides. Just again, so it can kind of hold together like glue. And then I'm just gonna squish these sides together, and I'm gonna stand it up so it's not resting on my design. And then I'm just gonna try and start making these two sides come together. I'm gonna really smooth out the inside using my popsicle stick so I can reach all the way down in there. And I'm trying to make these two sides look like they never were apart. I'm trying to really smooth them in so that they're just one piece, one solid piece. And then also I'm trying to smooth out any sharp edges, because when we put this through the kiln and it gets fired and we put the clear glaze on top of it, any little sharp pieces can become actually really sharp when it gets hard. So you want to make sure that anywhere that you could touch is pretty smoothed out so that you don't accidentally cut your finger or something. Okay, and I'm really, again, smoothing out that inside. You want to make sure that it looks just like it was one piece. It never was apart. Okay, again, you'll be way, way more patient than I am with this piece. Okay, and then I already traced my circle. So I'm gonna cut out my circle because I'm gonna make a little bottom for your candle to rest in. So I'm gonna cut patiently, kind of, around my circle. You'll be, again, much more patient. And then, after I cut it all the way out, I'll take this away again, put it to the side. Any clay that you end up with left over, if you just bag it up, we can reuse it. Everything that you use can be recycled. So any clay that you end up with, you can put it in a Ziploc bag and just bring it back with you when you get this fired. Okay, so after that, I'm gonna see how this kind of fits on here. And you can just leave it like this if you would like to. You can make it a different shape and not make it a circle. You can maybe make like a big flower or something. Or you can kind of like just design it however you want. I'm gonna kind of wrinkle the edges up so there's a little bit of elevation and texture. So I'm just kind of pinching the side and like making a wrinkle edge. You can do what you want, whatever shape you want. This is really just about you and your creativity. And then after you get it all built, and of course you're gonna spend way more time, again, make sure everything gets smoothed out. But after you get it all built, you can decide. You can either use the underglaze and paint however you want, whatever designs that you want, whatever colors that you want, or you can just leave it plain. I'm gonna show you kind of how to use the underglaze. So you'll get different colors that are labeled. I have a green with me today. So I'm gonna just show you how to paint into like some of these little leaves. The underglaze has to be applied pretty thick because when it gets fired in the kiln, the kiln's like hot temperature can kind of make the pigments like get spread out. So if you aren't applying a really thick layer on, it can get kind of like streaky. So if you're wanting a really solid color, make sure that you go in with at least one good thick layer, and you can even do a couple more layers than just one, like at least 2 layers probably, to be on the safe side. Okay, so this is not done yet, but you guys will spend way more time than I do and it'll look super beautiful. But this is basically what you'll end up with. You have a little lantern, and then after it gets fired and everything, you can put a candle in there and it just shines through all the holes that you put in your piece. And it's a really fun project to do.